Hey YouTube, how you guys doing? It's been a while since I've done a video here, so I do apologize. Who knows what this channel is going to actually become one day. I have so many things that I want to do, and yet I don't know where to start. I mean, I love homesteading, I love my faith, I love my family, I love crafting, I love my faith. Yeah, I know I said that twice, because that is the most important, is my faith. And actually, that's why I came here today, because I wanted to talk to you guys about a dream that I had regarding, I guess, what's going on right now in the world today. So, as many that I know of, as many people that I know of, I was saved in November of 2016, and I gave my life to Christ in April of 2017. I gave myself to Christ actually in November of 2016, but I made it like legit when I was baptized on Resurrection Sunday. Since then, I have gone through a big journey of evolving into what I hope to be a holy and modest and loving woman. And I'm not there yet. I have a lot still left on my plate, but I believe God has plans for me, and it's a matter of seeing the signs and actually taking them. So yesterday, one of my friends, Diana, went onto her YouTube channel, and I will put a link down below of her channel so that, you know, please go to her channel and subscribe. She is an amazing sister in Christ and one of my very dearest friends. So she posted a dream that her daughter had the night before. And it was so compelling and so amazing, but yet it triggered me in a way because, well, I had a dream myself the night before, and it almost felt like they were kind of linked in a way. So I instantly called her and said, Diana, oh my goodness, you will not believe, I have to tell you my dream that I had. And next thing you know, we started talking, and before you know it, we were like knee deep in revelation and prophecies that have been fulfilled. And basically her daughter's dream was revolving around Revelation 13. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I was like, you know, Revelation 12 just was fulfilled last September 23rd. A lot of people know that. And she wasn't aware. So we were going through the Bible yesterday and reading scripture, and sure enough, stuff is going down, people. And I feel like maybe this is the time my channel needs to be focusing on, which is, what are we doing in this world to better ourselves so that we can get home to heaven and be with our Lord. That's all I can say. I mean, like, I could talk about this until I can't talk anymore. And for those who are closest to me know I love to talk. I do. I will talk you into an early grave. I will. It's just who I am. But when I become passionate about something, I will talk about it. So, my dream. I'm actually going to give you two dreams, because the dream that I had the night before was on Friday night. And then I had another one last night. Not as vivid, but still compelling. So, and just so that you're aware, I actually have a journal that I write. My girlfriend Jenny, actually my BFF Jenny, had given me this journal a long time ago, and I now use it to write love letters to Yeshua HaMashiach. So they're not always you know, I try to make them as loving as possible, but as a human, and he knows that sometimes I'm going to have bad days. And I feel like this is kind of like our chance to talk. So, but I also decided to use this as my dream journal because I kind of feel like maybe that's Yeshua's way of talking back to me. Ooh. So, let's go into the dream. So the dream started out with me sitting in a house, just some random home. It wasn't mine. I don't know whose it was, but I do know that there were two people on either side of me, and then this man came out from nowhere, and he was this blonde-haired man that was just very captivating, very handsome, and you could tell there wasn't like just in a normal sense that I saw this person to be a very attractive person. And he sat down and he smiled at me and he just started staring at me. He had a gray hat on. And I was so like, wow, he's cute, and I didn't really think anything of it. And, I just kind of felt happy and giggly, kind of like how you feel when you're a teenager and you kind of like have a little bit of a crush and things like that. And then like all of a sudden he left, and then that was that. But to me, it wasn't enough. I needed to go find this young man. So I was searching like crazy, and I apologize if you see me keep looking down. It's because I am looking at my book. I do have a really bad short-term memory, so I have to write everything down. I know, it's sad. Getting old can be really challenging, people. So next thing you know, I found myself in an auditorium where they were just showing just a random movie. Again, I have no idea what movie it was, but there was just like, I could tell I was in an auditorium like setting. And I was sitting towards the back, or at least I was near towards the back. And, it was more or less just an observing where I was. And then next thing you know, I went out back. And when I went out back, I was like in like this wooded area, but the ground was kind of sandy and woodsy, and I almost felt like maybe I had been in the Pacific Northwest. And because the trees were very like pine and spruce and very tall evergreens, and there were all these people there. And I was standing what looked like in the center of a valley. So when I came out of this auditorium, all I saw was just kind of like sloping up. And all I saw were trees and the sky. But there was a path, and it was kind of sandy. But mind you, this is all just observation. So I start looking for this person, and I turned and looked up, and there was a young boy with a boogie board climbing up this hill by himself. And it looked like he was going towards the ocean. And then before I knew it, this whistle, just like, kind of like if you're at the beach, or if you're from the Delaware Valley, you're at the shore, you hear a lifeguard like who's telling you like you're too far out or you're too far wide or what have you, and they want you to come towards the center. This guy was blasting his whistle right next to me, and I turn and I look, and there's a lifeguard sitting in a tree, just like sitting on a branch, but the branch was like thin as a rake, but like he was just sitting on it like he weighed nothing. But he's sitting there and he's whistling and he screams, "Don't go there. Don't go out there to the ocean." And like he was so panicked in not letting that little boy go out to the sea. So that's all I remember. And then next thing you know, I found myself in a different era. So now I'm in like the 1920s, 1930s, and I'm in a store in some downtown. I don't know where I was, but I do remember I felt very beautiful. I felt very elegant. I felt classic. I knew I had a dress on, but it was a very modest dress. And then all of a sudden, this young man, this tall, dark-haired young man came in, and he looked at me, and I knew him to be my husband. Now, he's not my husband in real life. My husband is named Scott, and he is tall with grayish and reddish hair and green eyes and nothing like this. But this guy was clean shaven, very young. He had like a brown, almost like a derby hat on, and suspenders. And all I remember is that he whisked me over to him and put his hands on my hips and kissed me. And all I know was that I felt so euphoric, like that blissful feeling that you feel when you're falling in love for the first time. And oh gosh, I just felt so in love. And all of a sudden, I just started feeling guilty that I had been thinking about this other man that I still hadn't been able to find. And yet my husband knew that I was searching for him, but never said anything to me. So next thing you know, where was I? Oh, next thing I know, I find myself in a football field in the autumn, and I'm looking for this guy, and someone says, "Oh, I gave him your number," and that was that. It was just like, I gave him your number, and that was it. And so I felt really guilty, and I felt very perplexed, and I just quickly realized, like, dude, why are you doing this? Don't think about this other person. You have your one true love, the only husband you need, the only man you need, the only love you truly, truly, truly want and need in your life. And he loves you, and he loves you just so unconditionally. And just thinking about him makes your heart skip a beat. And before I know it, I'm standing over an empty pool. God, I seriously, just these are the visuals that I'm having in this dream. And next thing I know, I'm getting up on top of a roof. And I am scared because I realize I'm not where I should be. Like, this is bad. I'm in an area where I shouldn't be. Like, it's dangerous. And I had no idea how to escape. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I look up and I realize that there's like this old-timey plane coming through the clouds, and it's my husband. Like, my husband just shows up out of the blue in the sky and comes down through the clouds, and the plane gets towards the roof, and then he holds out his hand, and I grab it, and I wake up. Okay. So, you know, before I go into anything, well, no, I should probably just talk about this one dream. So, you know, I took a long time to think about this and trying to understand, you know, what this dream meant. What was God trying to tell me? I felt like this was an end time dream, only because of the fact that, you know, we are the bride of Christ. We are the bride of Christ. And our bridegroom is going to be coming for us through the clouds. And that he is the only one we need to get into heaven. So I truly believe that Diana's daughter and my dreams somehow connected. Not exactly sure. But I do know that that little boy that was trying to go out to the ocean has something to do with possibly her daughter's dream, since her daughter had dreams about the 4 beasts. And this lifeguard was like sincerely concerned about this little boy and telling him, don't go out to sea, don't go near the ocean, just don't go there. I just remembered like how it was alarming. It was like an alarming feeling. I feel like the crowd that was in that auditorium that was watching the movie was the world in general, and that everybody is just absolutely asleep. You know, nobody is wanting to even understand that we are in end times, that we are, you know, we are waiting for Yeshua HaMashiach to come down and take us to be home. And I just to think about it, I get butterflies in my stomach and my chest starts to tighten, and I get really excited because I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. So the feeling of being in my husband's arms and feeling that unconditional love and seeing my husband just seem to be kind of like this, I don't want to say low class, but he was not like a gentleman. He was like a laborer. Jesus was a carpenter. He too was a laborer. So just a lot of things coalesced with me, and I just felt like this is just how my brain is. If you guys have a different understanding, please, I would love to know what you think. I do believe that the captivating young man is the enemy, and he was trying desperately by staring at me to come away with him. And although I searched and searched and searched, and I was stuck in that world, that man never came for me, because he is a liar, and he is, you know, he is the god of deceit. And he'll do anything to ruin your life. And I think that when I found myself on that roof, I was desperately trying to get out of the world as we know it. And sure enough, I didn't even ask for him. My husband just showed up. Why? Because Jesus is always there. He never leaves us. I apologize. It's really, we've had some really bad humidity, and the humidity has died down a bit, but my allergies are starting to act up, and my nose is really itchy right now. So anyway, I want to go through this next dream, and I want to kind of finish it off because we're going on 20 minutes. So last night I had a dream that I was in my old house in Valley Forge. I grew up in Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania, and at one point, for about 14 years, we had a house in Valley Forge. And my family was sitting on a couch, and they had their blankets up, and it looked like they were looking at a TV. And I walked in, and nobody acknowledged me. It was almost like they were ignoring me. And I remember feeling really sad about that. Really, really sad about that. Like, why? But then I woke up this morning and I thought, well, maybe they didn't even see me. Maybe I was invisible. I'm not exactly sure. But sure enough, my family, who I'm very close to, mind you, in real life, I'm very, very close to my mom and my dad and my one sister and her family. Very, very close. And, but we're now kind of not necessarily separated, but we're on different paths spiritually. I became a born-again Christian, and they are Roman Catholic. So whether or not that means anything, I don't know. But all I do know is that they weren't acknowledging me, and I felt really sad. But I looked over and I saw my two little nephews, who were about 2 or 3 years old. Now, granted, they're going to be 11 in September, but in my dream, they were very young. They were about 2 or 3, and they saw me. And I knelt down, and both of them came up and kissed me on my cheek, and they called me, they said, Aunt Bridget. But it wasn't Bridget. It was the way that they said Bridget when they were 2 or 3 years old, which was they couldn't say their R's. So it was usually like Bridget, and they tried. At one point, they just called me B, because they couldn't say Bridget. So I don't know what happened there, but next thing I know, I'm in an ice cream parlor. I know. So I'm in an ice cream parlor, and I'm on the employee side, like the serving side. And I realized without a shadow of a doubt, the enemy was standing behind me. Now, I didn't turn around, but I could certainly feel his presence. And it was an angry, hateful, bitter, just disgusting feeling in myself. And the next thing I know, there were 4. I think it was 4, maybe 5, but I think all I saw were 4. It was like these people that were lined up in front of me, and the counter, which is like here, like if you know, you're like standing and there's a glass counter and it kind of curves because you're trying to look down and look at the ice cream and everything. So they're standing on the customer side, and here I am, and the enemy is behind me. And then next thing you know, boom, they raised their hands up. Some was just one hand, others there were 2. And they just turned into this bright light. Like I could see almost like an outline of their bodies, but all I saw was the light. And next thing I know, I realized that the enemy is fighting them. But he's fighting really hard, and I could hear him being so exhausted and fighting, and the people on the other side are just like, you know, like it's nobody, like it's not like they're giving a high five, like they're not making an effort, but they're so powerful that they're knocking him down left and right. And I woke up this morning and I thought, well, gosh, was I being fought over? Was I being fought over? Next thing I know, I look to my left, and there is a young man standing there. Again, I can only see the outline, but I could tell it was a young man. And all I know is that he lifted his hand up and then went like this. Well, it was really his right hand. And he went like this. And the finger, this tip of his finger, almost like a prism, like a rainbow, like metallic, I don't even know how you could explain it. It just burst into this bright, crystallized light, and it just obliterated the enemy. And then the next thing I know, I am with this man, standing by a window, and it's sunrise, and I could see the sun starting to come over the mountains. But all I see is like, I'm almost like I'm standing watching myself. Like I'm not in my body. I'm almost like I'm watching this happen. And the man does this to me. And so I take my right hand and I put it up towards the window. And then I do this. And I close my eyes, and then I open back up, and the bright light comes out of my finger. And then I just felt like this overwhelming sense of happiness and peace, just almost like bursting through me. And then I woke up. So, YouTubers, what do you think my dream meant? Because I definitely think it's an end times dreams, but I definitely want to listen to, or just at least read your ideas, and would love to know what your thoughts are. See, we're going on 25 minutes, it's 23:48 right now, and I don't want to keep this going any longer, but hopefully I can come back and maybe do an update on what everybody thought, and then we can go from there, because I'm curious to see if anybody else had dreams like this. So anyway, I hope you are all having a wonderful Sunday, and I will talk to you soon. Shalom. God bless. Take care.